Tonight on Politics Unusual, size matters to President Trump, especially when it comes to the size of his audience.
The commander-in-chief and his supporters have said Trump's inauguration had a bigger crowd than President Obama's, despite pictures, as we've seen, to appear otherwise. Well, thankfully, there is a way to get accurate estimates of how many people actually showed up. Sharon Crowley introduces us to the expert who's got a crowd counting down to a science.
I made a speech. I looked out. The field it looked like 1.5 million people. They showed a field where there were practically nobody standing there.
President Donald Trump disputed reports of how many people showed up to his inauguration on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Crowd size has often fueled contentious debate because the number of people attending any one event, especially political protests, can have powerful consequences. University of Denver Professor Erica Chenoweth studies social movements.
One of the most important indicators of their power potential is how many people are active and involved.
She and other researchers came up with their own method of crowd counting.
Most of these are political acts where public officials and police want to, generally report things that are status quo oriented, and activists that are trying to change the status quo are usually trying to over-report or over-represent their numbers. And so what we do is we try to estimate where in between the sort of true number is.
The numbers Chenoweth works with often come from professional scientists and crowd counters. Experts have used area times density for crowd counting since the 1960s. First, you need the square footage of the venue, like the National Mall, multiplied by the percentage of that area occupied by people.
You simply divide the number of people by the square footage and then tally that up. We've automated that in many ways so it can go quick, and we feel we get very, very close to what the true number is at a given moment in time.
Kurt Westergaard is the president of the Virginia-based company Digital Design and Imaging Service.
The real key to getting an accurate crowd count is to have a very good perspective on the scene. Often that means a number of cameras directly above the crowd.
He uses a camera mounted in a tethered balloon flown hundreds of feet above the crowd from a number of different vantage points. Here are some of the images of the Women's March on the National Mall. Red lines indicate the most density, about one person every 9 square feet. The orange lines, a lighter crowd, 1 in every 200 square feet.
Once we have that, we take a number of high-resolution photos and then take them back to the studio for analysis. Knowing how many people are in a space really is important to make that space flow without bottlenecks. And for that reason alone, it's very important to the planners and the organizers.
What hadn't occurred to me is how much people value being seen and witnessed and their moments of public expression. And that's true regardless of which side of the political aisle one is on.
Sharon Crowley, Fox 5 News.
Well, even though technology has advanced in the process of counting crowds, the numbers are still an estimate. Until that changes, expect more arguments about just how many people show up for certain events, especially ones with a political theme.